You in Palm Springs or something? Where are you?
How are you? In the desert.
Oh, in the desert. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good. Weather nice, huh?
Yeah. Very nice. Very pleasant.
Uh,
Not too hot, not too cold, just right.
good.
I'm 5 miles from Gaza. I'm going to attack.
Um, my
It was funny.
grandson went. Yeah, my
Yeah.
grand went. He's in Sodoma, Sderot.
No way.
Yeah,
What's he doing
he's
there?
driving an ambulance. He's a
Oh my
medic.
God.
He volunteered. He went. He's a medic there.
He's a medic?
Yeah, he's a medic from he's at
He he
Sala in
he knows.
Israel,
Oh,
in New
because he's
York.
a Tzala. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then he took the extra. Besides being a Sala, he's a medic. So that's why they said it was
Wow.
about 10 or 12 guys. They've been there all week, but says it's
What
quiet.
what's
But
he, what's he have to say?
he couldn't tell my son much. My guy, he couldn't tell him because he couldn't talk on the phone. They got to be very careful what they do
Uh-huh.
and what they ask.
Yeah,
So
that's right. People could be listening.
yeah, yeah. So my grandson, my son-in-law tells me last night during the night they accomplished a lot. The IDF they killed a lot of Hamas.
Oh,
They
good.
they smattered them. So
Let's make a
maybe they're
kiddush.
yeah, make it Kiddush. They really destroyed it.
The
And then
next is Bernie Sanders. They have to shoot him.
oh, so they'll send him. Yeah, right. He'll be the leader of the Gaza. He'll lead the Hamas and Gaza people. I was listening today to what do you call it, 360, and
Oh yeah,
they were
Fox.
interviewing the Palestinian the protesters. Most
Yeah,
of them don't know what they're talking about. They don't know.
right.
They
They
don't
don't
know
know.
nothing. They don't know what they're protesting for. They don't know it. They don't know. They don't know the hostages. They don't know anything. They don't know anything that's going on. And these are college kids. Could you imagine
Yeah,
college? And this is the future leaders of America. I heard
yeah.
today.
They have no
Oh,
idea.
over 50% of the kids in the under 25 are colored, are not are people of color. The white people are a minority now.
Really,
Yeah,
50%.
over 50% are not white, are people of color of all nations.
I don't care about the color. I care about if they support Israel or not.
No, no, but I'm saying that means that
They're
it's not.
uneducated.
Yeah, no, they're of not color. They're not people of color, which includes
Aha.
Spanish and blacks and everything. 50% of under 25. Unbelievable. Oh, wow. Uh,
Mr. Alan,
oh,
What happened? Either shower? Is there an adjustment to make there?
So where's the chief?
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Ernie.
We'll do Kidushin first. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll do Bava Kama first, as usual.
Hi, Yomi.
Hello. We're on Ches Omid Aleph, 8:1.
Okay.
We said if a man only has Idis Viziburis, if he only has grade A and grade C fields, then Nizokin, the Idis, the one who was damaged, Midin gets Idis. There is no Baininus. Normally a Balchov gets Baininus. So in this case, the Balchov Uksubasisha gets Ziburis. Tanimia Mitzia. The Gemara is interested in the middle case, where the guy has Baininus Viziburis. He has B and C fields. So there is no Idis. Normally the Nizokim would get Idis, but there is no Idis. The best of the fields is the Baininus. So therefore the Nizokin gets Baininus. The Balchov, which is normally what he gets paid, is Baininus. Uksubas Isha Biziburis. Now, the debate has been whose frame of reference do we look at? Do we look at the guy who's paying, the mazik, or the nizik? If we look at the mazik, and the mazik only has Baininus and Ziburis, Teosa Baininus Shaloki Idis, at least regarding his fields, those Baininus fields are his best fields. So Yidche Balchov Eitzel Ziburis. Why should the Balchov and the Nizokin share in the Baininus? The Balchov should be able to push the Nizokin should be able to push the Balchov to the Ziburis. Must be, we don't make our assessment looking at the Mazik. So the Gemara says, no, this is a special case. When he became a Balchov, when he borrowed money and the liens were placed on his lands, he had Idis. Only afterwards he sold them. He sold it after he made the loan. The ishtabdele ben of meikara. The shibud from the beginning was on the Baininus because that was still his best field. The Chenam Rav Chizda Tigon Shai Saloidis, and he sold it. Achanami Mistavrat Miditoni Achrisi. There's another Baraisa that if he only has Baininus Ziburis, Anizakinu Balcha V'Tsubas Isha Ben Aniziburis. So Kashana Dodi. It's the steer in the Baraisas. Elalav Shlamino. How do you differentiate between the Baraisas? The first Baraisa, Shahaisalo Idis, Umachra. That's where the Balchab gets from the Baininus. But when he gets from the Ziburis, it's Shahaisalo Idis Umachra. He never had Idis. The Baininus was always the best of his fields. And the Ziburis was like the Baininus. So the Balchov only gets Ziburis. Neither Bryce is talking about that he ever had Idis. Veloy Kasha. It's still not a problem. The Brysa that says that the Balchov gets from Ziburis. The Shavya Baininus Shaloki Idis Ta'alma. He had really good pieces of land. His Baininus was like what most people would call Idis. And in the first Baraisa, where the Balchov collects from Baininus, Shalosh Shavi Baininus Shaloki Idis Da'alma. It was a regular Baininus. You can explain both Baraisas where his Baininus is like regular Baininus. That we look at the status of his fields, and therefore he only has Baininus and Ziburis. So Baininus is for the Nizakin, and the Ziburis for him is like Baininus. No, we have a standard set by the world. So even if he doesn't have a better field than the Baininus, it's still only Baininus. So the Balchov is stuck with Baininus. Ravina Omar, that they're arguing the Ula pligi. Sha'arma Ula Dvar Torah, really Me'ikar Adin, Balchoiv Meziburis. A creditor can only have a lien on inferior fields. Why? Shenema. When you loan somebody and you take collateral, and let's say the collateral is a pillow, you have to give him back his pillow at night. Bachutz tamod, va'aish asher tanot shebo yotzi lecha tzabot achutz. Ma darka shalom lo tzi lachutz, pachol shebekelim. You give him the most inferior of your kelim. So meikar adin, you can pay him off with ziburis. But Chazal made a din that the Balchov gets Baininus. Why? Nobody would loan money. And the economy would tank. Mar Islay Takon to the Ula. The Baraisa that says that the Balchov gets Baininus agrees with the Takon of Ula. Umar Leslie Takon to Ula. The other Mandamar does not agree. Ton Rabban. So Machar le'echad or l'shlosh bnei adam kecha. You sold your fields, all of your fields, to one person. Or you sold your 3 fields to 3 people. They all are subject to the liens that were on that field. So if the guy did damage, the Idis field would still have a lien. And if he has a loan, the Beinanis field would be lien to the Balchov. And if he has a ksuba to his wife, there would be a lien on the Ziburis. And they would have to pay what from those fields. And then to get their money back, they would go to the guy that they bought the field back and they have to get their money back. Now, B'zechar zeh, let's say they were not sold all at once. They were sold sequentially, January, February, March. So B'zechar zeh, kulan goyvim in achro. The guy who, that's why title search is so important. All of these people who have claims on these pieces of land would all go to the last guy. Because the guy who bought the land in January, February will say, I left the guy who originally owned the land to pay off his debt. So all of those, somebody's got to put their Mario,
Yeah.
thing on mute. So they all can push the lien holders to the last guy. Now, im ein lo, if the last guy doesn't have enough assets, so he goes to the second guy, Gorvi Mishalafana. Ein lo, Gorvi Mishalafnefana. He goes back to the first game. That's the Barais. What's the example where you sold all three fields to one person? If the guy bought all three fields at one time, when you have three people, there's always going to be one person who went first. Yet you said, they're all responsible. So the one guy bought all, he bought everything in one shot. He would certainly be responsible. We're talking about the one guy bought one field in January, one field in February, one field in March. Why would it be different if he sold to three different people in that fashion? Each person can say, when I bought from Chaim Yankel, he had other fields. I made sure when I checked my title search that he had land to pay off his debts. But Hainami, this one purchaser, he can say, after purchase each land, he can say the same thing, that I left other pieces of land. And it's only the last piece of land, which is Ziburis, and you'll have to collect from that. He bought a high quality piece of land at the end. So he doesn't want us to use that claim. He wants to be able to pay like to the Balchot for the Ksuba, the Beinanis or the Ziburis. The Chenam Rav Sheish is going to look at Chidis Bachloin. Yachi Lacey Kula Veligvu Midis. Let each claimant come and collect from the best field. Because that guy could be smart. Mishum de Amarlu, listen. If you want to be smart, if you're quiet, and you Balchov take from Beinanis, and you Isha take from Ziburis, take. The elo, if you're going to stand and you want to take from the last piece of land, the idis, Mahadrishtana de Ziburis Lamare, I'm going to go put the star back to the original guy, give it back to him. Vishakil to Kulchum Ziburis. And you'll have to go back to your guy and collect from Ziburis. So be quiet, you'll come out better. Ihachi, if that's the reason why they cannot collect from Idis, so B'ninizokin, when a guy who was damaged comes to collect from Idis, Namane Mahachi, he can make the same argument. We're talking about the guy who had sold all the fields, who was originally owed all this money. He had died, and the estate is left with Yomi, the Lavne Pironim. If there's no land left, they have no way to pay the chayfas. The shibud is on the guy who purchased the land. He doesn't have the opportunity to say, I'm going to give the shtaros back to the original owner. So what's the other svara? A different svara. If a person has free and clear assets and you owe money, you first have to pay that guy off with free and clear assets. Rather than, let's say you had sold off land, the din is you have to pay off your debts with free and clear assets. Mishum takanta didi. And that's why also you paid off from the last piece of land that was bought, because it was free and clear when the other ones were sold. So, but this takana hurts me, doesn't benefit me. And whenever there's a takana, I can reject the takana. I don't want Shoymin law. We listen to him. Mike Gonzu. Ravuna, Shom Ravuna. Yichol Isha Shatom Labaila, Aini Zoinus, the Oise. The Ksuba allows a husband to collect his wife's earnings, and in payment for that, he has to provide food for her. Let's say the wife is a neurosurgeon and makes $1 million a month. So even though there's a takana meant for her benefit, in this case, she would lose out. She makes a lot more money than he would have to give her for regular mizonos per month. So he can say, you keep your takana and I'm going to keep my wages. Same thing here. If this takana is to the detriment of the person, he's allowed to reject it. Gemara says, Pshita machalokech beinis v'ziburis. The guy who owes money, he sold off beinis and ziburis, he only left idis. Leisu kula v'ligvu midis. So when the creditors come, whether it's somebody who was damaged, or a balchov, or a ksubas isha, the only thing they have to collect from is idis. The achroinehi. Ubeinis v'ziburis less negabedem. He doesn't have beinis v'ziburis. And he can always also say, government beinis v'ziburis to lo nichali b'takon d'rabbanan. I don't like this takon of the Rabbanon. Aval mocher idis. But if the guy sold the best field, v'shir beinis v'ziburis, he retained the very fields that you pay off a Baal Choiv and a Ksuba with. Sover Abayla Meimar, also Kulu Govim Idis. The guy had sold off Idis, they can go and try to collect from the Idis that the last person had bought. Because there was a shibud on that original. Amalei Rava, my Mocha Rishon L'Sheni. When he sold, what did he sell? Everything, including the liabilities. Given the ilu also gabi lokeach rishon, if they would have shown up to the first buyer, matzi agbilu mebenis v'ziburis, they would have collected mebenis v'ziburis. Al pi d'chizaf mebenis v'ziburis, akatis is mechorin avon. Because if he had retained the idis, that would have been the free and clear asset. You can't collect from that as long as there's free and clear assets. I don't want this takana chachami. So maybe the lokeach sheni, if a guy had went and sold it to a third party, go collect from the beinis and ziburis. Chizavin lokeach sheni. He also is selling it with all the rights and responsibilities in that land. So in fact, Amar Rava, Ruvain Shemachar Kostoisav l'Shimon. Ruvain sold all of his fields to Shimon. V'halach Shimon u'machar sadar achas l'Levi. Shimon sold one of the fields to Levi. Uba Balchov de Ruvain. Ruvain's Balchov shows up. Ratza mizeh goyve from Shimon. Ratza mizeh goyve. Remember, Ruvain doesn't have any land. He sold them all off to Shimon. Enemies. Aval Zavan Idis, the Ziburis. If Levi had bought Idis or Ziburis, then the creditor would not have been able to collect. Because the Amar Levi can say, La'achi daik v'zabi. I was smart. I was careful when I bought. Davke Idis v'Ziburis, v'lo Beinis. Ara de lochazi locha. A Baal Chod only collects from Beinis, and a woman only collects from a Baal Chod only collects from Beinis. And I particularly avoided Beinis. Vafilu Zavan Beinis, even if Levi had bought Beinis, Lo Yaman Elish Loshai Beinis to Kavose. But maybe he left other Beinis lands with Shimon. Because again, the Lomatzi Armalei, Nachtel Chamakam Lagavi, Shimon. If he had left a Beinis piece of land with Shimon, he can't collect from Levi. Levi can say, I left on purpose. When I investigated what lands were there, that there was a Beinis land to pay off a creditor. Amrabai. Ruvain Shabachar Shimon Bachrayis. Reuven sold a piece of land with a guarantee, which means if one of Reuven's creditors comes to Shimon and takes away the land of Shimon, Reuven has an achrayis responsibility to pay him back. Then v'asa balchov de Reuven v'toraf mishimon, and that's what happened. The creditor Reuven took the land away from Shimon for payment for a loan. Reuven has the right to take the creditor who's trying to take the land from Shimon to Beis Din. V'lomotzi Armalei, the Balchov can say, Lav bal dvarim didiyad. You're not my litigant anymore. Because the land that you had, you sold. And it's with Shimon. I have tinus with Shimon. If Shimon has a problem, he can come and complain. And why can Reuven still stay involved? The Amrle, imafkismine, I borrowed money. If you take that piece of land away from Shimon, Alai Hoda, he's going to come and demand payment from me. So since I'm on the hook because I sold the achrayas with a guarantee, I'm allowed to take you to court. Ikedi Amri, afilu shelo b'achrayas. That means Shimon might have paid less and not demanded a guarantee. It means with a guarantee, the land costs $1,000. Without a guarantee, it costs $500. Shimon's willing to take the risk for $500. That if a creditor of Reuven takes it away from him, there's no guarantee. He can't go to Reuven to get collection. There was a difference in price, whether you sold it b'achrayas or not b'achrayas. Comes the Gemara now to say that even if there's no achrayas here, Reuven still can take the creditor to Beis Din. The Amar Le, lo nicha li, if the field is taken away from Shimon, he's going to be going around telling the whole world that I don't pay my debts. I don't want that. So I can still take you to court to adjudicate. Abai will have a different swap. Okay. Let's learn a little Kidushin. We have some time. Let's see if we can almost finish Kidushin. Okay, we left off on Pei Aleph Amud.
Hello?
Kidushin Pei Aleph Amud Beis. He heard people say Flimo Katel Gavra. Flimo is murdering people. Flimo Katel Gavra. Arak V'tosha Nafshe. So Flimo ran away, but Beis HaKisei. He went to the bathroom. Remember, Flimo was the one who said, it's not so difficult to ward off the Yetzer Hara. Ozel Basrei, so the Sultan followed him into the bathroom. Novel Kamei, Ki the Chazya, the Hava Mitztayer, Galilei Nafshe. He revealed himself to Flimo, I'm the Sultan. And Flimo used to say, arrow in the Sultan's eye. Amarle, my time or Amataki? Why did you always say arrow in the Sultan's eye? Ilechi Ema, what should I say? Amarle, Lema Mar, Rachmana Nudabe, the Sultan. Hashem should yell at the Sultan. Rav Chia Barashi Abarogel Kol Eden Dabel Nafala Ape. Relations in so many years. My time of Karachi, why are you davening so much that you're avoiding Yetzer Hara? Yom Echad Ava Kagaras Beginte. He was studying in the garden. Kosher Nafshi Chalpa Netanya Kamei. So his wife dressed up in a very seductive manner. Amar Lamana. And he asked this woman, he didn't recognize his wife. Who are you? Amra Ana Charusa Dadri Miyama. It's the name of a famous prostitute. I'm coming home. Tava. So he wanted to have relations with her. Relay, I see nilach rumna deresh tzutsis. You have to bring me for my payment this pomegranate that's on the top of this tree. Shavar, he jumped, Azal Asinile, and he brought her the pomegranate, and they had relations. He also levese, Havi Kashagad visit Tanura. His wife was home cooking. Salik v'koyosef b'gaveh. He opened the oven door and he sat in the oven. Amalei, my high. His wife said, "What is this?" He told him the story. He told her the story that a zona seduced him. Amalei Anav, it was not a zona, it was me. Lo ashgachba. He didn't believe her. Adiyavala simone. She gave him simonim, I guess physically, to prove that it was her. Amr la no miali yisuri ichavu. I know, but I had kavana for Isser. That's why I went to sit in the oven. Kol yom of shalos etzadik hayim misameh ad shemeis bo samisa. He tortured himself on this aveira, thinking about doing an Isser. He died with this pain. That somebody who has kavana to do Isser, it's as if he was over an aveira. The Tanya, Isha Hafeiram, that if the wife makes a neder, the husband can annul it. Vashem Yislach La. Hashem will forgive. By the way, it says that I'm teaching in the shul after Havdalah. It's not so. I'm teaching tomorrow night at 7:30. And Motzei Shabbos by Zoom. And then the Novi Shir at 8 o'clock. A woman who declared Naziris. The husband heard and annulled it. But he lo yadash efer lo ba'al. She didn't hear that the husband annulled it. She went around drinking wine, being metamel mesim, which is over the Naziris. But she was not over the Nazir. So even in mind, it's bad. When Rabbi Kiva would get to that pasuk, he would cry. Omar, person who has kavanah to eat chazir, and a kosher piece of meat ended up in her hand, and they didn't do the sin. Like in this case, she was not a nazir; the husband had been made for it. Yet, Amra Torah tzricha kapor slicha. The Torah says you still need atonement. Mishnas kavi lechol b'sar chazir. All of it b'sar chazir. A person wants to eat bacon, and he ends up eating bacon. Alachas kavi v'kamo. Then he needs slicha v'kapor. Kiyotz b'davat. Person wants to eat permitted fat. And by accident, chaylev comes up. He eats it. No, it's considered a sin. He needs kapara. Mishnas kavin lechol chaylev. V'ala b'yado chaylev. He has kavanah to eat chaylev and he eats chaylev. Lachas kam v'kama, then he needs kapara. Isi ben yida oimer, lo yadav Hashem ben asavo no, al davar ze yidvu kol advein. A person should be in pain because even on something that he didn't even know that he sinned, he's going to be punished. Misyachid adam mimimo. We said in the Mishnah, you could do yichud with your mother. You could have yichud with your sister. V'dar mimo v'imbito. And you can sleep in the same bed as your mother and daughter. It's prohibited to be yichud with anybody. Afilin behema. Tanat. Misyachid adam im imo v'vito v'yoshim on b'kir of basar, even without clothing. To yufta the Shmuel, kashan Shmuel, amel chashmuel, utameich. Hadetayach choysu v'chamoisoi b'shar klarais shebetoira. Ein misyachid mehem ela be'edim. You can't have yichud with any arayas be'edim in shelo be'edim lo. So that seems to hold like Shmuel. Ela tanoi. It's machlekes tanoi. The Tanya Rav Meir. Yizar b'bnei bizdi. He warned people to make sure he doesn't have yichud with his daughter. Be careful that I don't have yichud with my daughter. Legally, alav oisa talmid. And also, the Talmud made fun that what are you worrying so much? These are people in general that people are not going to sin with. This Talmud who made fun ended up having relations with his mother-in-law. Then it says Shmuel said afilun behema. Abai b'chalim akula dibra. When Abai went out in the field, he made sure there were no animals there. He didn't want to be choishesh with this behema. Rav Sheshes is marvelei mitzvah. He made sure the animals were on the other side of the fence. Rav Chanan marda ikla Rav Kahana b'pumnara. Rav Chanan visited Rav Kahana. They were learning, and there was an animal there. Amarle lo sarlamar shafilin be'ema to do yichud. Amarle lava daiti. I didn't pay attention to the animal. Amar Rav misyachid adam im shtei yevamos. Vim shtei two co-wives, two sister-in-laws. Im isha v'chamoisa, if with a mother and a daughter-in-law. Im isha vazbaila, with a woman and a stepdaughter. Each one is going to tell on the other, so they're careful not to be seduced. Isha v'tinoka sheyada tambia, a woman and a young girl who knows what bia is, they'll protect each other. As long as she doesn't have a yetzer hara to them. Higdilu. So when your son and daughter are older, then they have to wear pajamas. Ze yashon b'chsusa. How old is this? Kama aravada barava ravasi tinoikis bas teisha shon of yomecha. Not a girl, 9 years old. Tinuk, a boy ben shtemes rishon, 12. Ikedi amri tinoikis bas shtemes rishon of yomecha, 12. Tinuk ben shlosh esrei, chiyuv. V'zeh v'zeh. So that they reached puberty. You could sleep with a daughter if she's not embarrassed to stand naked in front of him. Once there's embarrassment, also my time. The yetzer hara is there when there's embarrassment. Ravacha barava ikla be Rav Chizda chasnei. Ravacha went to visit Rav Chizda, his son-in-law. Shakal beis barte usve bekanfe. He took his granddaughter. He held them in his arms. Amarle lo savar lamart de mekadsha. She's already mekudish. Amarle avart lachad Rav. You violated the principle of Rav. Shem Rav Rav. V'tema Rabbi Lozer. Also, we learned before you're not allowed to accept Kidushin for your minor daughter. Ad shetagdil the Torah b'ploin anywhere until she can express her desire. Marnami avid like Shmuel. Sha'amar Shmuel emishtamshin be'isha. How can you use her to sort of help you stand up? Armalana kidich Shmuel sferleish. Amar Shmuel. Hakol Hashem Shamayim. Hashamayim will know our inner heart whether we're doing this because we're close family, or there's Avera involved. So I have nothing to worry about. If it's L'Shem Shemaim, the minig, it depends. If the minig is to show affection, then it's not considered an Avera. If it's not a minig, it is. Okay, tomorrow 7:30 in the evening. Have a good shot.
Listen, I wanted to suggest maybe not this much Shabbos, most Shabbos after that. Shabbos over like 5:30. Why can't we start at 6:30 and then be done by 8? In case somebody wants to do something Motzei Shabbos, they from 8 o'clock on, they have time. Otherwise, it breaks the night.
Okay,
Yeah.
but this week we already discussed.
Not
Right.
this week, next week, beginning
Well,
next week, I said.
Do we want to do the Navi Shir at 7 o'clock? I have no
Yes.
problem with that. So we'll talk about it
This
with
way,
The
We'll talk
daf
about it
6:30 and
the
Navi
DAF
at 7.
6:30, and then you have an hour after Shabbos.
no problem. We'll talk about it
All
tomorrow.
right. Okay, fine.
Good.
Good Shabbos.
Good job.
Shabbos.
Good job.